The Slenderman, the Waukesha stabbing that grabbed national attention, is now the focus of a documentary. Morgan Geyser and Anissa Wire are accused of stabbing their classmate back in 2014. Police say they attacked their friend during a sleepover to appease the fictional character Slenderman. Both girls are charged with attempted first-degree murder. A documentary called Beware the Slenderman looks deeper into the character and the crime. It was shot over 18 months. The film will premiere at South by Southwest in Austin, Texas in March. Now, on the festival's website, the film is described as having, quote, heartbreaking access to the families of the would-be murderers and plunges deep down the rabbit hole of their crime, a boogeyman, and our society's most impressionable consumers of media. As for the case itself, Morgan and Anissa are awaiting trial. Their lawyers are trying to move the case to juvenile court. Status hearings are scheduled in Waukesha County Court in April.
What is going on, guys? I am Daniel's son, and we are talking the HBO documentary Beware the Slenderman. Beware the Slenderman is a documentary about a certain case of two girls stabbing their best friend, and these are 12-year-old girls stabbing their best friends in the name of a fictional, somebody who made it up urban legend of Slenderman. Now, I know a lot of the lore of Slenderman. I know how kind of crazy how it was created, how the person who created it, and it tells you in this documentary, but the person who created it, like, he did it for a contest. But you don't really hear that much of the particular person who created this Slenderman, this mythos Slenderman, and you could see it on Creepypasta, and like there's a lot of links that have this particular character and they make it their own, and it just became popular after they released a game for him as well. As you can see on YouTube, you could type in live reaction to the Slenderman game. I heard about, but I didn't know the full detail about, and that is the two girls, Morgan and Anissa, stabbing their friend Bella or Peyton so many damn times, like so many times, but she actually survived the stabbing. This story is very fascinating on the psyche of kids these days and the era that we live in now, where we can access a lot of these crazy, malicious, just all this stuff in the tap of your tablet. I like these stories, but I'm a grown man. I can't determine what is real and what is not real, what is right and what is not right. But the question that in this documentary they give you is, these girls are 12 years old and they committed an act. They committed attempted murder to not only a fellow human being, but their one of the girls' best friend. They even planned it. So the question in this documentary series is not whether they're guilty, it's whether they should be tried as an adult and get 65 plus years in prison. The two families, not the victim's family, and not even the victim herself in this documentary, but the two families of the kids that committed this horrendous crime. And you see how these two girls grew up, who their family is, and then you realize that these are 12-year-old girls who are themselves human beings. They eat, they sleep, they like certain things, they dislike certain things. Their family is not a how it was presented. They're not abusive. They're not Satanists or anything like that. They're just normal families, and this documentary does a great job showcasing that they did the best they can to raise these two girls. It's just this. They don't know what went wrong. And then that leads you to, like, okay, is it the media that's really twisting their heads? Is it this one particular girl, she has a certain thing that's wrong with her? Is it because of this? And is it because of the parents themselves? I mean, at one point, Morgan's mom had a chance to really kind of help her daughter out a lot more, but she didn't think anything of it, and she really kind of just dropped the ball in some cases. It does explore the lore of Slenderman, how it was created, how much it blew up, how many people are influenced by it, and how many are just drawn by it. The documentary is very, very, very gets very old, very boring when they do introduce the Slender Man. Now it's somewhat very, you want to know the knowledge of Slenderman himself and what this thing is all about, what this made up story is about. But the way they edit it, they have it where, okay, it's leading up to the big trial, whether they're going to be tried as an adult or not. But at that time, we were hearing interviews from Morgan's mom and then Anissa's dad, and then it cuts to the lore of Slenderman. Then it goes back to maybe them visiting the two girls or visiting their daughters. Then it goes back to Slenderman. Then it goes back to a personal opinion. And once the Slenderman stuff happens, and it keeps going back to it, and then you get personal opinions, and then you get Morgan supporter, which, by the way, like this Morgan supporter, she's barely in the documentary, and that is an interesting take. Like, I want to know why she supports this girl doing this heinous act, or why she thinks she shouldn't be sentenced too hard for doing what she did. Once it gets to that Slenderman, all the Slenderman lore and all that stuff, maybe because I know a lot of it, maybe because I know it, but just the way it presents itself and just the way it is and all the pictures and everything that they showcase and everything, it's boring, honestly. It's very boring, and you just want to get back to, okay, I want to know more about Anissa, Morgan, and the relationship they had with Peyton, and I want to know more about this family that they, Anissa's family and Morgan's family, and I want to see if there could have been a way to stop this heinous act. When we see some of the interrogations between Anissa and Morgan, and the cops are interrogating them, it's interesting, man. It's interesting how they present themselves. It's interesting that they are very calm, they're very willing to comply and tell the truth, or somewhat of the truth. It's very interesting how both the girls take the interrogation, both the girls take the heinous act. It's and then you come up with your own opinion on maybe how they should be judged and how this should all go down. But it's still decision making at its hardest, because these are 12-year-old girls. But they did try to kill somebody. They did attempt to try to kill somebody, and not only that, they premeditated to try to kill somebody. And then you learn a lot of different things about both individuals, about how Morgan has a certain condition, how Anissa was bullied, and that those elements go into there as well. Is the media itself, are we very much influenced by what we see, what we read, and what we do? Is that playing a big role now than maybe like 20 years ago? Because we do have access to a lot of these things. Let's say Five Nights at Freddy's. A lot of kids love Five Nights at Freddy's. I encounter 9-year-olds, 10-year-olds liking this Five Nights at Freddy's. And maybe it's innocent, and maybe the parents don't think it's all that bad. But sometimes that one particular child really embraces it, and it comes worst of the worst. You get a worst case scenario. This documentary was good, though. I mean, it's not making a murderer good, but it was really good, showcasing their side, the parents, at least the parents' side of everything that transpired. It makes you think that if you do try them as an adult, how many years do they get? Even if you give them so many years and they come out of it, are they going to be okay? Are they going to commit this heinous act again? Then you also question, like, what were they thinking? And then there's a lot of questions that arise, and a lot of decision making that you have in your head if you were put in that position, if you were the judge himself sentencing these two girls. I thought the documentary was very intriguing. I thought the subject matter was very intriguing, of course, because it was Slenderman. But I did think it dropped the ball in just really telling the story of Slenderman himself. And instead of giving us a bunch of pictures of Slenderman and just telling the lore, they could have really introduced a lot of kids and people who are influenced in this figure, just like Anissa and Morgan was, but they haven't committed crimes, or maybe they have committed crimes. I think that would have been a more intriguing documentary. But I do like how they showcase Anissa and Morgan's family, and they showcase everything. They tell you everything. They show you everything of what these two girls were thinking about when they did it, what they were doing, what they did after they did it, and what should happen after it was all said and done. So, thank you guys for listening. I'm Dan, Make It Down Son. If you want to check out Beware the Slenderman, it's on HBO. Please check it out. It's a great documentary. Like I said, once it hits the Slenderman part, though, it gets a little bit tedious and a little bit boring, and you just want to get back to the main issue at hand, and that's these two girls committing these two crimes and whether they should be tried as an adult. I'm Dan Daniel's son. Thank you guys for listening. Until next time.